Starting and running a business is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Whether you're an established business owner or thinking about starting a side hustle to earn extra income, I am here to teach you how to show up as your unfiltered self, level up your business, and thrive as a mompreneur. Let's embrace the chaos and start enjoying the journey together. I'm Amy Traw, and you're listening to the Motivated Mompreneur Podcast. Welcome back into the Motivated Mompreneur Podcast. Today, I am joined by Alessandra, and we are talking about the armors of smallness and how they keep you from owning your bigness. So I'm really excited to dive into this topic today. But before we do, I would love to introduce to you Alessandra. How are you today?
Good. I am so excited to be here. I just had a baby. I didn't tell you this on before, but I have 4. And so we just had our 4th recently. And so just getting back into the swing of things, and it just feels good to be here.
Good. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So before we dive in, tell us more about yourself, who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Yes. So I'm Alessandra Caprice, and my background is as a therapist. I was a therapist for a few years before I turned online as a life coach. And then over the years, I've really transitioned into business coaching, business mentorship. And then over the last year and a half is when I started incorporating breathwork into my work. And founded what I call Money Breathwork. And through this work is where I discovered these armors of smallness, because a lot of the work that I do is somatic, right, with breathwork. And so the armors of smallness came through during a breathwork session with one of my clients, where I was like, oh my gosh, it's like we're wearing armor. So I'm really excited to talk about it today. I'm a mom of 4. My oldest is 7 years old, and I have been a coach, online entrepreneur for about 7 years now.
Awesome. Amazing. So you are proof that, hey, as a mom, you can rock it. I mean, you're doing the darn thing with 4 kids at home. That is incredible.
Yes.
And I love it. Absolutely love it. So let's dive into the armors of smallness. So what are armors of smallness?
Yeah. So our armors of smallness are, well, we'll get into the specifics of them, but generally there are our limiting beliefs, and I call them armors because they actually weigh us down. Like if you think of armor, not that I'm sure you probably haven't worn armor before, but we've seen it on movies, and we know it's probably really, really heavy and clunky and keeps you down, right? And so I had this idea of, something that I wanted to have this imagery, right, of what is holding us back from literally taking up more space, being big, right? I have a program called Being Big, and I really emphasize like bigness and taking up space. And that doesn't mean doing more. I think as a mom, I think this is really, really important, that when I talk about owning your bigness, and taking up more space, I don't mean like posting 1,800 times on social media and like going live 5 times. And, as moms, it's really hard, like when we're balancing life and motherhood and business, right? And so bigness is about just taking up more space energetically, activating your voice, really showing up consistently for your people, right? And so these armors are what dampen that. And I call them the armors of smallness because they keep us small. And, I do a lot of nervous system work with my breath work, and our nervous system is calibrated to wherever you are right now. And right now, it might feel safe to be small, right? It might be safe to not be seen. A lot of my clients are afraid to be seen for all of them, right? To be fully expressed. And so these armors are literally on our bodies. Like I kind of imagine them on our bodies. I'll go over what the armors are in just a second, but different ones are different sizes on us, right? So if you think about one of them that's really common is not enoughness. And so when we feel not enough, we are not good enough. We're not visible enough. We're not doing enough. We're not all the enoughs, right? That I know moms feel it in 100 other ways as well, right? So that one might be like your chest plate. It might be just really heavy on you right now. Or it might just be, a little one on your shoulder or whatever. I just love the imagery of it. And so not enoughness is one of them. Fear of success. Fear of success, which is counterintuitive, right? Our brains want to say, I want a, six-figure business. I want to have 15 clients. I want to do all these things. But especially as moms, one of our great biggest fears is like, what is success actually going to mean in my home life, right? Or is it going to take me away from my kids? Does it mean this, that, or that? Or we make it mean something. And so our nervous system actually will block us from success, right? Especially when we're making it mean something detrimental. And it's like, no, you don't want those clients. I remember when I first started my business, I had a newborn. Well, it wasn't right when I started my business. I had a newborn and a toddler. I was about less than a year into my business when I had both of them. And I was like, okay, I want all these clients and I want to get, I was just pretty much just starting off, right? I had done courses before that. And then I realized, wait a second, I actually don't want clients because that really stresses me out. And the way that I was structuring my business was just not in alignment with how my nervous system wanted to like deliver, right? I wanted like clients to talk on the phone, but I was worried about my baby napping. And so I actually switched to like Voxer coaching at that time. And it was really, really helpful. I didn't have all this nervous system regulation. Then I had to use a lot of mindset work. But so fear of success is a really big one that we don't really think about, but me as well, and a lot of my clients struggle with that. And then of course, on the flip side, fear of failure. So not taking action because we're afraid of failing. We're afraid of being seen and being laughed at or whatever, all the things that we're afraid of, and what others are going to say about, oh, you tried that thing and you didn't do it, or it didn't work out. Of course it didn't, right? So all the things that we're afraid of. So those are kind of our main three, but then we have imposter syndrome, of course. And then we also have one that I call accommodation. And accommodation is kind of a blanket umbrella that includes people pleasing. That includes the fear of rejection, the fear of outshining. And this one's, I think, is really, really big for moms, especially when we are trying to appease everyone. We're trying to have wear a million hats and keep everyone happy, right? And so that one, for me, it was kind of a sleeper. I didn't know it was really there. I'm like, I'm not a people pleaser. What are you talking about? But it really was when I was trying to accommodate kind of everything. That's why that word really resonates for me. So maybe some of your listeners, people pleasing really resonates for them, or those who are fearing of rejection or ostracizing from their family. Like, oh, if I got big, like I have one client right now who's like, if I start making a lot of money, most of my family doesn't, and so they're going to look at me differently, and they might like not want to invite me places, or they might like laugh at me or think, oh my gosh, like you're not like us, right? And those are the things that really stop us from taking action. So when we can identify, and I also have I call them distractors, like confusion, overwhelm, comparison, perfectionism, also knowledge gap, like I need to know more. I call it the knowledge gap, like, oh, I have to get this certification or that certification or that, right? And so when we start to identify them, what's actually like the limiting belief or the kind of coding and programming that we're carrying, and we can identify this armor, then we can begin to take it off.
I love it. And I love the imagery of the armor because I've never heard this described in such a way. But I'm a very visual person.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
having this imagery, yeah, I can see how we really just kind of like protect ourselves. It's almost like
Yes.
a survival
Yeah.
mechanism that we just keep loading and loading and loading on
Yep.
until we're carrying this heavy
Yes.
load,
Mm-hmm.
this burden, and that's preventing us from really stepping into our true purpose and power. And I love the way you described it because I think we can all relate to one, if not multiple,
Yes.
of these shields of armor that we have plated ourselves from. And especially the one too that I've been seeing a lot is that fear of success. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you touched upon that because I think that until people realize you may actually be afraid of success, and that can be what's holding you back. So what are some steps you take to identify that you even have these plates of armor on? Because I think a lot of times becoming aware is that first step to being able to remediate them. So how can we figure this out?
Yeah. So, okay. So when you are not doing the things that you say you want to do, right? So that is
Yeah,
like the biggest indicator. Say you say, "Oh, I want to go live." That's just like a really simple one, but not so simple for a lot of
sure.
people, right? Or I want to start the podcast, or I want to launch my business, or I want to launch this particular program, right? One of the ways that I was able to really identify this is when I first started breathwork. I got the download through it that I was going to do this work with money in business. And I didn't, it took me over a year to start doing it because I had the armor of, well, an imposter syndrome. Like, who am I? I don't know. I just started this. I don't, but I received that. And now that I've been doing this work and people are like, oh my gosh, like you're, there is something special here, right? I realized, wow, that was weighing me down so deeply. So the first thing is, am I saying I want something, or am I saying that there is something that I want that I'm just not taking action on? Right. And so if that's true, there's an armor there, right? Because where you are right now is small in comparison of where you can be. Right. And I always say, like, our level of bigness, like what our brains and bodies can even contemplate as bigness right now, isn't even as big as you can go. Right. And so when we start to begin to identify, okay, right now I'm small, and it's, I don't want to like put you down or anything, right? But when you want something, when you have big dreams and you're not going for them, or you're kind of like ping ponging around and kind of doing this and then pulling back, and right, there's some sort of armor there. I was going to say fear, but not all of them are a fear, right? Not enoughness is not necessarily a fear. It is just this deep belief that you're not enough in some way, shape, or form, right? So then the first step is really just identifying, am I not allowing myself to be big, right? And then you got to kind of go in there and say, okay, what's actually holding me back, right? And especially knowing these armors, it's really helpful to say, okay, am I afraid of success, right? What am I making it mean? What am I making bigness mean? What would it mean if I was big? What would it mean if I was making six figures, like my client, right? Where she's like, if I was making so much more money than everyone in my family or my immediate surroundings, what would that mean? That would mean that I could be rejected. Like hers was, the more the accommodation, right? But what would it mean if I failed? Right? What would it mean if I was success? So like really starting to identify, okay, which one is, I do believe we have them all in some way, shape, or form, right? Like I said, sometimes that chest plate is the fear of success, and like not enoughness is your shoulder. And then I also want to say as well, as you grow in your bigness, they shift, right? And so, like I said, at the very beginning, I had this imposter syndrome, right? And that was holding me back. Now mine is the fear of success. And I had not enoughness come up the other day as I was doing some breath work. Now, my favorite way to really do this work and to really transmute this and heal this and really step into and owning your bigness is breath work, right? Because I'm a therapist in my background. I do a lot of mindset work. I've done mindset work for years, and for me it just wasn't enough. I could mindset my way. I call my processes mindsetting my way to mediocrity. Right? I could mindset my way to just good enough, like I got there and I had some success. But for me, that wasn't what I wanted, right? And so when I started incorporating breath work and really starting to heal these things and take off, like literally take this armor off. That's why I love breath work, because you can literally do the movement of taking the armor off while you are breathing, while you are accessing your body, and you could feel the difference. And so that's kind of my process. My clients will pop in with a question into my group and I say, okay, I have a breath work for identifying which armor is, and then I have them go breathe that armor, right? But it's so common. Like, this is like the number one thing that we work on, right? It's like, which armor are you wearing right now? And how can you take it off, right?
That is so, so cool. So, can you explain a little bit more to us about how using breath work, how does that help us work through that process? What does that look like? Because for some
Yes.
listeners, they're going, okay, so I'm just going to sit there and breathe, or describe
Right.
it a little bit more to
Right.
us, what it
Of
means.
course. So I use transformational breath work. So it's not just like deep breathing slowly, like meditation. Meditation is amazing, right? Meditation takes you about 40 to 50 minutes. If you were to, which your moms don't have, we all don't have that,
Right, right.
40 to 50 minutes to drop into that deeper subconscious state. This transformational breath work takes 8. So if you're a mom on the go and you want to deal with this stuff real quick, do some breath work, right? And so what happens, and why I love breath work so much, is so much of these armors that we're wearing are not from our mind, right? They are from childhood wounds and ancestral patterns and societal programming and experiences and memories that we've had, and feelings that we've had that get coded in the body. And so when we try to mindset it, we can only go so deep. And mindset work is amazing. I love it. I've been, like I said, I've been using it for years. But really, as we start to drop into the body, is when we can fully understand what we've been holding and carrying. And so if we're literally carrying stuff and we're trying to do it in our mind, it's not going to release it. Yet when breath work, we can drop into that deeper state into our body, and we are able to release it in a much more sustainable way. Like mindset, you can like kind of, okay, I got over that in this week, but next week, right? Where breathwork is very sustainable, when you compound it and you keep going, right? You're able to literally heal the stuff in your body. And so the breathwork that I use is I have multiple different types of breath work, kind of shorter, some longer, but it's using just particular breath patterns to move you into that subconscious state.
That's incredible. And I love too how you're using your past experience as a therapist
Yeah.
to really merge these two things
Yes.
together. Because I think that's something in society, people tend to be really divided on one side or the other. It's the science backed, or, they call it the woo stuff. But the
Yes.
thing
Yep.
is you're using your science background to base what you're doing in research.
Yes.
You're able to unearth these past hidden traumas and behaviors that we aren't even aware of because
Right.
they're so buried
Yes.
subconsciously and in our bodies. And in 8 minutes,
Yes.
in working with your clients, I mean, that's a powerful transformation, because you're right.
Yep.
As life happens, you know this, you're a mom of 4. You don't necessarily have 40 to 50 minutes.
Nope.
You aren't sleeping through the night, so you may
Yes.
not want to be getting up 40 or 50 minutes earlier. But I think
Right.
most of us can find a hidden 8 minutes in our day to really just pour back into ourselves and take that time to get through some of these self limiting beliefs
Yes.
and these past traumas that we don't even know are holding us back.
Right.
So, right here, you are literally handing your clients the key to transformation, the key to
Yes.
success. So, if you ask me, it's not woo because it's working.
It's real.
You have seen it in yourself, in your clients. And
Yes.
I don't know, I'm a firm believer that if you have a dream on your heart to do something, it is your mission, your duty to pursue that,
Yes.
because you
Yes.
have something amazing to bring to
Yep.
the table, to bring to the world. You have the solution to someone else's problem. But if you're playing small and holding yourself back, you're really robbing the
Yeah.
world of your greatness. So
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
what you're doing because it's truly transformational.
Yeah. 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 And it's most of the testimonials that start like, I don't understand how this is working, but I just got a client out of nowhere, or I just
Yeah.
made this, or, I highlight a lot of the money wins that my clients get, But the beauty of breath work, honestly, and this is why I love it so much, especially as my therapist background, is it goes exactly where you need it to go. And my clients are not only making more money in their business, owning their bigness, showing up, doing the things, but they're healing their relationships with their parents, and their anxiety is going down. They're sleeping better. Like there are actual benefits of breath work. I just happen to combine it with business expansion, right? Which is like not a lot of people are doing that, right?
Right.
And so there are actual health benefits of breath work. And so that's why I love money breath work, is because like if I can get you to do more breath work because it's going to make you more money, you're going to be a healthier person as well. And you're going to be one of my clients is like, I am a much better mom from doing this consistently. I am more patient. I am more kind. I am more understanding. I'm more regulated, right? And thus, what happens with our kids, right? My kids see me breathe all of my time. My little 3-year-old walked in and came in, are you doing breath work right now, mommy? Right? Like, I am. Yes, I am. Come and join me. I post videos all the time of my kids breathing with me. And, it's like, it's a ripple effect, right? And when you were talking about when we don't put our dreams out there are people walking around that are looking for you, like exactly for you. And if you don't own your bigness, they're going to keep walking. They're going to choose someone else. And maybe they're not the perfect person for them. And maybe they don't get the transformation that they would have with you. And then you have this responsibility to own your bigness. And as moms, we also have that responsibility to show our kids what owning our bigness looks like, and so that they can as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Such a ripple effect because they're always watching us.
Always.
And if
Oh my gosh.
we can pour into them and teach them these skills, I mean, what an amazing generation we'll be raising. And I really love that how we're starting to develop more of that awareness and just the realization of how important personal development is.
Yes.
Even if you're not running a business, just
Right.
as a person, it is so important. And when you can really take the time to do the inner work, it allows you to be a better mom, a better spouse, all of the roles that you play in your life, no matter what those roles are.
Yes.
This is absolutely phenomenal. So I am telling you, if you are listening to this, you need to get into Alessandra's world. How can we do that?
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram, Alessandra Caprice. And I also give 10 days free access to my money breathwork program. So that's moneybreathwork.com, really easy. And you can have 10 days free access to a program. There's 5 different modules. There's some short ones. There's a long one. You can get to see what it's like, what the breath work is like. And also I talk about the science of it and why it works and why we want it to work and why it's really important. So it's a really great place to really experience it, because with this work, it's really important to experience. You can't, if you don't know what it's like, you don't know what it's like until you know what it's like. And most people are like, I've been missing this for how long? I'm in, right? So yeah, Instagram. And then I also have a Facebook group called the Big Money Months Portal with Alessandra Caprice. And that's where I will often run live events. I run them, every so often. I run, 3 days, 5 days, 4 days events. And so those are the best places for me.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I will be sure to be signing up. And mamas, I want you to do the same thing, because it is time that we start harnessing these practices and really digging deep, doing the inner work, making that a priority, because pouring into yourself, that will lead you to success.
Oh, yes.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. This was phenomenal.
Thank you for having me, Amy.
And until next time, mamas, stop dreaming and start taking messy action. You've got this. Are you loving what you're hearing? Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.